This is the Rock Radio UK podcast, and today I am speaking to one of my heroes, Rickey
Uh,
Medlocke. Hello, sir. How are you?
well, hello to you, and thank you for that. That's a real honor to hear you say that. Thank you.
Oh, honestly, the pleasure is all mine. But you've got new music out, and I am really, really pleased. Let's talk about the band first, the Rickey Medlocke Band.
Yeah.
How did that all come about?
Well, I was off the road from Skynyrd, and normally, when Lynyrd Skynyrd goes on hiatus, we're off anywhere from 2 to 4 months at a time. We might do a show here and there, but until we start back really steadily touring,
Yeah.
we're off a pretty good while. So I'd been wanting to do this for quite some time. I wanted to go out and play again.
Right.
I didn't like sitting around, and I didn't like uh you know having really nothing but to do but go fishing, and of course be with family, which is good, but also be in my studio and play guitar. And so I just wanted to go out and I wanted to play. So I called a friend of mine. His name is Mark Warple, that you see. He's involved in the record there. And I
Yeah.
knew he had a band going. He has had a band in the Minnesota area going for quite some time. And I hit him with an idea. I said, Mark, what do you think about um, me interjecting myself into your band? And we worked songs up of my past, maybe some songs of my heroes when I was growing up, maybe doing some of their songs, and maybe doing a song or two of Skynyrd or what have you. And maybe when we get the opportunity to go out and play a show.
Okay.
Well, uh, he said, let me talk to the band. He he talked to his band, and they thought it was a really good idea. They entertained it and say, yeah, let's do that. So we set about, I think it was maybe the end of, well, this past year and the end of the year before last. And we started putting it together and seeing how it would work. But we knew one of the only things to do was to record new songs,
Yeah.
to have new material. So we started, kicking new songs around. I had a lot of songs, that I had written or co-written. And this song, Never Run Out of Road, was one of the first tunes that I brought up, and we kicked it around and come up with the goods on it. And we said, well, let's do this one. Now, incidentally, this song is co-written. I co-wrote it along with Charlie Starr of Blackberry Smoke.
Okay.
And then Mark came in. We changed some things as far as the song being written lyrically. And so Mark, came in as writer as well. Here it is. We put this new song out. We said, okay, our goal is to put a song out after the first of the year. And normally when you put songs out, of course, nowadays, you don't really know how it's going to go, because you really physically, like you did in my day, you don't physically sell records.
Mm.
You sell downloads and or streaming, or
Yeah.
iTunes, and or your own website or whatever. And so we put this out, and now we see that it's gaining popularity,
Yeah.
and it's really coming around to where you actually are the first actually interview I've done from over in the UK.
Okay.
And um, and I still have a kindred spirit, I guess you should say, with the UK and all over Europe and stuff because of Blackfoot.
Yeah.
And Blackfoot, was a very incredibly popular band there.
Yeah.
And I loved when we used to come over there. I used to love being there. It was like it almost got to be like a second home, and I miss it. Of being over there quite often. Still have quite a few friends,
Yeah.
and so now you're the first guy to talk to me from over there about this, and I'm real pleased with that. That's great.
Yeah. Well, I came across a single the other day. I mean, it was released. I'm just looking at my notes on the 19th of January, and I just happened to comment on an official post, and this is where it's all sprung from, on the social medias. And I've had the media pack now, and I've been playing it on the radio this week. I just love it. I really do. It actually takes me back to Blackfoot era, as
Yeah.
well as reminding me of Skynyrd and a whole host of other bands that Blackfoot actually led me into. Because as we spoke off air, "Send Me an Angel," I heard for the first time. It's still with me to this day. I play it every week, every day. Not maybe not every day, but certainly a few times a week.
Right.
And that was my introduction to Blackfoot, and I've never looked back. So I've got to thank you for that myself. But
Well, that was that that era of the band was really quite unique in the fact that we had one of your fellow countrymen
hmm,
in the band by the name of Ken Hensley. And Kenny was in the band, came to the band, played with us, for several years, and then he
yeah,
bowed out. But that record in itself was pretty unique. We had tried something else. We tried, we put Kenny in the band, and for a while Charlie stayed with us, and then Charlie decided that he wanted to bow out of the band, and that left us with myself, Kenny, Jack, and Greg. And those were fun times. They really were. And that was a great song, by the way.
yeah,
That song. Well, Kenny had brought that song to us, and there were some discrepancies about the song, who wrote it, and so
hmm,
forth and so on. And but it all got solved, and the record was out, and we had fun. We had fun going around touring on it and playing that particular song.
yeah. I mean, where did it all start for you? I mean, I know we're sort of like jumping about a bit here, but where did it all start for you? I mean, Skynyrd was actually your first foray, I believe.
Pretty well much. You know, it goes all the way back to my grandfather, Shorty.
Yeah.
Um, had a big part in, he played a very big part in my life, in my music life, in the fact that my grandparents adopted me and raised me. Our family was a music family.
Hmm.
He played, uh, my biological mother played, um, my uncles played. And so the family, was born on that side of the family was all musicians. And as a kid growing up, I was subjected to uh, Shorty, my dad. I was subjected to him being, touring quite a bit and having his own bands and being on a TV show that originated out of Jacksonville, which I happened to go on when I was 3 years old, playing a miniature banjo
Wow.
with him. And I ended up staying on that show from the time I was 3 till I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And in the midst of that, what was really cool in the midst of it all, I learned how to play guitar
Mhm.
at the age of 5, and I took up playing drums at the age of 8. And, you know, cut my teeth on all the old, I guess I should say, rock and rollers of the time. Elvis was my total hero.
Yeah.
Growing up, I got to see Elvis right before my 7th birthday in
Wow.
1956. My parents took me to see him when the king was really the king.
Yeah.
And I can remember, and I've told this story many times. I can remember to this day the impact that it had on me. It had such an incredible impact that on our way home that night, I'm standing in the front seat, of our car. And because I'm only 6 years old, and it was before my birthday in February. And we're on our way home, and my grandfather looks over at me and he said, "Well, son, what did you think of that?" And I said, "That's what I want to do. I want to do that." And I never lost track of that. I never lost. I never lost the focus
Mm.
and the determination of that's what I wanted to do. Didn't know how big it was going to get. Uh, I guess an artist, they never know.
No.
But to think about it then, and to think about where I'm at now, sometimes it kind of takes me aback. I can't, it's almost hard to fathom.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of hard work, a lot of determination, and here we sit, you and I talking today, and in the midst of it all, I had my rock and roll heroes and this is what's really cool. I had my rock and roll heroes, and they happened to come from England.
Okay.
Uh, it was the Beatles, of course.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, it was the Rolling Stones. And then all of a sudden, an American born guitar player named Jimi Hendrix. And then there was Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
First time I was introduced to Clapton was even Clapton, Page, and Beck, all three of those guys. I was introduced to them through the Yardbirds.
Yeah.
I mean, there was my guys. And then after a while, along came Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top.
Yeah.
And you know what? They all, in their perspective way, played an incredible part of my life and in my playing. I just really happened to take to Eric Clapton. Um, in the way of, I heard the blues in his music,
Yeah.
and I heard his blues playing. And my grandfather raised me up in an old Delta blues countryish environment.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Ronnie Van Zant loved about my old man was the blues part. I mean, he dedicated, he was kind of one of the main inspirations for Curtis Lowe. And Ronnie dedicated Made in the Shade off of the Nothing Fancy record. He
Yeah.
dedicated that and the album to my dad. And I heard the blues within, of course, Hendrix, but Eric Clapton, and I really took to it. And my vibrato in my hand, I got it from Clapton.
Yeah.
I learned it. And what's really funny is that the band, the little side band that I've started now, I give ode to Clapton by playing Born Under a Bad Sign off the Wheels of Fire record.
Yeah.
And the band guys, when we first worked it up and did it, the bass player goes, "Oh my God, I could swear I'm standing up here next to Eric Clapton playing this," because that's how much of an influence that he had on my playing, you know.
It's huge.
And yes, yes.
Okay. So Lynyrd Skynyrd came and went, and Blackfoot took over as well. What are your fondest memories?
Well, I joined Lynyrd Skynyrd the first time out of Blackfoot in early 71.
Right.
And well, pardon me, contrary to popular belief, I wasn't in the formidable years, and Gary and the guys always considered me an original guy, an
Yeah.
original member. Gary here a few years ago did a video, posted a video of himself talking about how he had seen a lot of stuff on the internet that to the effect that I wasn't an original member, that, you know, so forth and so on, you know. And Gary came on there and said, look, I'm just here to tell you, we always considered Rickey an original guy because, you know, he came in, played 2.5, going on 3 years. He wrote songs with us. He sang them with us. He sang some on his own. Sang a lot of the backgrounds and played acoustic guitar with us, and, you know, played drums on all that stuff from Muscle Shoals. And he goes, I'm just here to say today, to claim that Rickey was an original guy. And I had contracts that stated the heading was Lynyrd Skynyrd. And under the heading of it was 5 names: Ronnie Van Zant, Gary Rosson, Alan Collins, Rickey Medlocke, and Larry Johnstrom.
Wow.
And Larry Johnstrom went on, you know, to play with 38.
Yeah.
Larry was an original guy too. So, so after what happened was, I'm telling a little bit of inside information here, but I got to the point, you've got to have a lot of, to be able to play drums, you got to have a lot of air intake in there. I've got a situation called pulmonary fibrosis. And,
Right.
you know, I've had it ever since I was a kid. I've learned to deal with it. But when you play drums, you got to have a lot of air intake. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I actually went to Ronnie, and I explained to him that I thought at the time they needed somebody better than me. Well, Ronnie and Gary and Alan often told me they loved my feel. They loved my pocket. They loved the way I, you know, grooved in the song. And but I just thought that they needed, you know, I thought I was good, but I didn't think that I was great.
Okay.
And I remember thinking to myself, I guess I'm the Charlie Watts of Lynyrd Skynyrd, you know, which now looking back on it wouldn't have been a bad thing.
No.
But I just thought that they needed somebody, you know, a lot stronger and a lot better than I am. And I bowed out. And I remember my old man telling me, him saying that, you know, I see it in that boy Ronnie. And, you know, I think that they're going to go on to do great things. And if you make this decision to leave, and they do, and you never do anything, you got to live with that.
Yeah.
So I had it in my mind and in my heart that I knew I was going to be able to do something as well. So I went back, we cranked up Blackfoot again. It went its whole history, you know, we had great albums out, man, at the time. You know, we put them out. We had good success. And I don't look on the bad stuff.
No.
I don't ever think about it. I like to think about all the good times I had with those 3 guys. we were brothers together. And it just because of I guess because of the business aspect of it all, and record companies,
Yeah.
it just kind of fell apart. And we ended up calling it a day in 1985. And I went my way and they went theirs. And I legally owned the name
Yeah.
and bought the name out from the guys. And actually, I went on and had, put other people in the band, had different versions of the band up until 1995 into 96. And that's when I got back with Lynyrd Skynyrd in March of 96.
Yeah.
And I've been there ever since.
I've got to say, you've produced some stellar albums with the band as well. So
Well,
really,
thank you.
what of the more recent Lynyrd Skynyrd stuff? What album would you pick out to everybody to just go and try if they've all they've heard is Freebird and Sweet Home Alabama? If you were to tell them to go and say, right, go and try this album out, which album would you tell them to go and buy?
You know, I think it comes down to a cross between the Second Helping
Mm,
and the Street Survivors.
okay.
Um, all of them are really incredible in their own way. I got to tell you, if you really think about this, here's Ronnie Van Zant. Um, their first record comes out in 1973, and he is 25 years old. This guy wrote songs. I always considered he was an old soul.
Yeah.
Wrote songs that a young man, you would never expect a young man of that age to be able to write. His insight and his perspective and the way he put those lyrics together to tell stories is like Da Vinci setting an easel up and painting a picture. Ronnie could paint a beautiful painting with lyrics that you could see. And, to me, that's genius. And Gary once said it was really funny that if you get one genius out of a family, you've done really well.
Yeah.
But I think as far as Skinner goes, I love Tuesday's Gone.
Mm,
That's probably, I love Simple Man and it's heartfelt, but I love Tuesday's Gone. Probably my mother used to love that song. And I think about her when we play it. And now we're doing a big tribute to Gary on the video wall when we do Tuesday's Gone. And it's pretty gripping.
yeah.
But such great songs, iconic songs that'll be here long after I'm gone. And we'll never fade out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's wind everything up to present day. Never run out of road. Well, that's pretty much a look on your life on the road, I suppose, with bands.
You know, I try to take people on this journey in that song that my life has been nothing but this one great big long highway. Um, I lived it with my dad when he used to tour. Um, I lived it with my early bands when I was a teenager. I lived it with my early adulthood into having the success with Blackfoot, now with Lynyrd Skynyrd. and I still love the road.
Yeah.
I love the road. Gary and Johnny, if they were here right now, would tell you this guy, when we used to come off the road, he was impossible. He didn't want to go home. And I I was always the one to go, oh God, I can't believe we finally did our last show and I got to go home. I don't want to go home. But I guess what it really comes down to, I'm a player. I love
Yeah.
to play. I love to entertain. I love to be in front of an audience playing guitar and doing what I don't know, doing what comes naturally to me, that has come natural to me all my life. And Never Run Out of Road is one of those songs that I have, written that explains that it basically explains exactly how I feel, you know? And trust me, I'll never run out of road. That's for sure. You know?
I'm so glad to hear that. There are quite some serious messages going along with the single as well. You've got some First Nation charities involved. Would you like to
Yeah.
say a bit about that?
Well, for many years over here, we've had an epidemic problem in this country and also in Canada, um, of missing and murdered Indigenous women, um, older women, middle-aged women, young children, girls, even young boys have fallen victims to disappearing, whether it be trafficking or kidnapping, whatever. And quite a few years ago, I wanted to do a TV show and had people interested in doing it where I would be the host and narrator and it was going to be on that subject.
Right.
And when we were shopping it, not one network would touch it.
Okay.
They wouldn't touch it. Now, which is funny because I made the suggestion one time. Okay, no network over here will touch it. But what about going over to Europe? What about going to like to England to the BBC to see if the BBC would do the funding and they would do it, or whomever?
Yeah.
And the producers and writers, they never followed up on that. So when we did this record and signed with this label, they're called Rock the Cause.
Okay.
And with them, when they pick an artist, along with the artist picks a charitable fund. They pick a charitable fund, and you donate part of your proceeds from what you make to that charitable fund. Well, I got a hold of my really good friend who is on the series of Yellowstone.
Yeah.
He's a prominent actor. He's been in many films, much TV stuff. His name is Gil Birmingham.
Yeah.
And as of recently, he's been on Yellowstone as the tribal chairman. And I reached out to Gil because they had done a segment of Yellowstone, um, just about that, about the MMIW.
Yeah.
And I said, Gil, I asked him, I said, what charitable organization would be really reputable to donate monies to for the MMIW? He said, let me get in touch with Taylor Sheridan and ask him what we did, for that one particular segment in
Yeah.
season 3. Well, he got a hold of him, and Gil called me back and said, Rickey, Taylor said the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center is who he donated money to.
Okay.
So we picked that one, the Dream Catchers, the Dream Catchers Charitable Fund, and Save the Wolves Foundation, because of the photographer. She's an incredible photographer. Her name is Kat Benzanova, and she's tours with all over with Guns N' Roses. She's like their photographer, Aerosmith's photographer. She just does incredible work.
Yeah.
And so with those three charities, we launched the song, and by the looks of it, it's getting legs. The views keep going up, and downloads keep happening, and radio seems to be coming to it and warming up to it and playing it and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be happier about that, because for me, it's giving back. It's a worthwhile thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, I am your number one Lynyrd Skynyrd guy. I'll always be with Skynyrd. I mean,
Yeah.
Gary Rossington got me back into this band, and when he did, I said to him, Gary, I promise you that I will be in Lynyrd Skynyrd until the last note in Freebird is hit. And I had hoped that he would be here with us and with me, but now he's not only accepting spirit, and I will continue to play in Lynyrd Skynyrd until that last note in Freebird is played.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens after that. But you know what? This project is a worthwhile project to give to a good cause. And I'm more than happy to do it.
Well, I really do tip my hat to you. So I think it is a worthy cause. Something that's probably not vocalized enough. Obviously, like you said, in the States as well, but in Europe and UK as well.
Yeah.
So I urge my listeners, if they've heard the single on the radio, or go and check it out on your website and various streaming platforms, to
Yeah.
maybe just check it out and maybe give a donation as well. I believe the
Yes.
links are there.
Please do.
Okay. Rickey Medlocke, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. It has been an absolute pleasure. I really wish you every success with this, and hopefully you'll be over in the UK very soon, and I can finally come and see you play live.
Well, you know what? I hope the same too, because I miss being in the UK. I have quite a few friends there that I would love to see, and I used to love being there, and
Yeah.
it was always, part of my heritage, other than the Indian side of me. I went to Manchester, England, and one of my bandmates come in and said, "Hey, have you been out walking around?" And I went, "Not today." They went, "Come on, you got to go out here and go to this bridge over here." They said, the name of that bridge is Medlock. The Medlock, and the river that flows through is called the Medlock River.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. And I went there and I saw it. And of course, my mother's side of the family, it was the English side
Right.
of the family. And I remember my biological mother's still alive. She's 90 years old.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I called her up and I said, "Mother, I just walked across the Medlock River on the Medlock Bridge." And she was like, "You're kidding me." I went, "No, I'm not." So there you go. I'm part of
Brilliant.
England.
On that note, on that bombshell, thank you very much, Rickey Medlocke.
Hey, thank you. And I appreciate you sharing your time with me and having me on your show. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much.